This is your boy Don P, the gentleman. Welcome to the Pain the Profits podcast, the Exoticpreneur show, where defining your purpose is wearing it with pride. Hey, listen, it just got came on me so heavy that I just had to record right away and just put this episode down. It's really designed to just really pull it out, and I'm just going to tell you a story of just of what it was like to be the king in his own castle, and the title that was put down to my download to my subconscious was what would profit a man. So first things first, man. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. I need y'all to make sure that y'all like and subscribe to the show. You feel me? So real simple. You real simple. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, subscribe, hit the bell, get the notifications. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you follow me right there on Instagram at Paying Two Profits Podcast, right there on Instagram, so that you stay up on what we got going on. On top of that, making sure that y'all stay locked in with the click. You feel me? So without further ado, let's get into it. So what will profit a man? So what I wanted to tell you is just a story. When I was in the bar world, now, if you don't know my story, I started off as a choir boy. So coming into the nightclub industry was not something that I was like Google and Gaga over. But yet, just like any young man, I was, curious about, not just about girls, but just, how to get busy. You feel me? High school. I got exposed to uh, adult content just like any young man, around 12, 13 when I first got into high school. And actually, single, actually, the first closest thing was the Jet magazine's The Beauty of the Weeks. You feel me? So, like, yes, that's telling my age, obviously, right? That's telling my age. But more importantly, it was put me in a frame of mind like I knew I wanted to be around sexiness. Now, I didn't go that much. I ain't go too much. I ain't go get too much more caught up into it, other than watching little videos back in the day, back when they had VHS tapes. So let's keep it 100. Yeah, the current generation, y'all don't even have a freaking clue what that is. Y'all don't even know what a VCR, but the folks that was born in the 80s know what I'm talking about. Anyway, fast forward. I end up getting introduced to the nightclub, the strip club industry, the exotic adult entertainment industry, and I just I didn't fall in love with the industry. I fell in love with the opportunity of me to be able to use my skills. See, the thing is, I was a fashion photographer, but I didn't have no. I didn't. It was highly competitive at the time, so I wanted to be extraordinary. I wanted to be extraordinary, but to do that properly and use my unique skills, because I like the animation. I like the things that just made people look cooler than what they were. Right before AI and all this other stuff came out, I'm producing these type of artworks that was just as eye catching as AI developing now. So they in the mainstream world they controlled that, they minimized that, they didn't value it. So the nightclub world did. So I went with it. You feel me? I ran with that bad boy, and it turned into a very profitable space for me. It was to the tune of where that now people are paying me what most people were making in a week's time I'm making in a day in a couple of hours of work. You feel what I'm saying? So of course, quite naturally, it put me in a space where that now I'm seeing that I can afford more things than the average person, and of course, I'm profiting. So if you were a person that was, hustling, just to put it in the mindset of a young hustler, you 17, 18, 19, 20, and you go from, your man's pull your coattail and say, hey, look, you can move this work real easy, and you go from, you know, your mom or your pops struggling making ends meet to now going home with tens of thousands of dollars in less than 2 weeks. It's just like the show that's aired on Stars with BMF. It's how the father was sitting there and working hard every day to make ends meet for his family, because he looked at his sons like this is the way to do it. But yet his sons realized Shout out to BMF and Big Meats. I'm very familiar with the family through the Don Diva Association from the magazine world that I was a part of. So because of that story, which is not a like his story, it was actually a real story. This stuff really did happen. So the fact of the matter that those young men sit there and seeing the opportunity for them to not only change their financial situation, but also change their lives. And the rest is real, real life history. They turned that into a multi, I would say a $1 billion industry, but it really was a multi-million-dollar industry. So So going into that world, knowing that they turned that business into a multi-million-dollar business, and it turned into what it was, and they became a great uh, pillar in the world and in the industry, but also in the culture, not for what they did and how they made their money, but how they redistributed the wealth in that from the money that they earned and did it in a way that was empowering and encouraging for those that wanted to do it. See, the thing that intrigued me about exoticpreneurship and the men that was associated that had valor was character. They had character, they had integrity, they held people accountable. Now of course when you was caught out of pocket or you was caught in a dishonorable space, you got addressed accordingly. Now unlike what people say on a corporate level or business level, it had a sense of code of honor that was associated with it. And that is one of the key things that I pulled from that industry that I use to this day was the fact of the matter is not just your word, but it was the understanding that the power behind it, that your word is who you are but whose you are, but it's also what makes you the character, what's developing the character of good business versus bad business. It's good spirit versus bad spirit. So it had nothing to do with the product. That was just a product of circumstances that, hey, this was something that before social media was social media, before you was able to create your own clothing line and have access to the different tools that are now home based and virtual, where that now you can build that same multi-million-dollar business from your home. But before that, you have to have resources, you have to have money, and you have to be able to profit in a way, and you have to be able to acquire things. So what will profit a man to gain the whole world, but yet as one book would say, um and lose his soul? Well, it was quite simple. Now we know in the context of the world of the word, it was saying what will profit a man to gain your whole world and lose itself. So let's talk about that for a minute. Let's give the perspective. And I'm coming from a perspective of a man who almost gave up his whole soul to gain the whole world. And I'm going to give you the context behind the content. See, when I became successful in the exotic entertainment world. Mind you, I didn't go all the way up. Now, this keep in context, the pinnacle of exotic entertainment is adult entertainment. Exotic entertainment is right in between. It's the edge, but it's not all the way over. You do everything but become an OnlyFans star or an adult star or actually producing pure adult content. Everything less than that is entertainment and exotic. Okay, it's implied. You don't have to do that. So I want you to understand the difference between it. Y'all might lump it all together into whatever prejudice you have into it, but just keep it 100. It's like a street hustler doesn't necessarily mean he's a drug dealer. He's doing illegal drugs. He's literally a person that just may have access to particular products and services that now can be redistributed correctly. Now, of course, there are not ethical people just like unethical people, but that doesn't mean that everybody is lumped that up just because you don't like it. So I want you to understand where that's coming from. So before we get all into it, so let's get into it. When I was moving in that world, I was there was also a place where that yes, on the surface end, everybody looked at me as a person that wasn't uh the greatest person because young men and young women was coming into my nightclub. But see, what was happening was that I started gaining notoriety, but people was gaining trust in good business and good opportunities. I was providing jobs legally that was on the books so that people can now get out of their situation to change their life. You see what I'm saying? Because the fact of the matter that they just wanted an opportunity, a chance, because not everybody was born with financial intelligence. I know in Michigan, in Detroit, and I would come from a middle class family. We wasn't taught financial intelligence. We was taught how to work. We was taught how to just earn by the sweat of our brow. We was taught how to just show up for that master and give them 30, 40, 50 years of our life, of our times life in our good years, only to come home with broke, busted, and scuffed, maybe a pension, maybe a retirement plan, but not properly understanding how the retirement plan works, where that our body is so written and tore up that we're not even able to enjoy some of the fruits of the labor until we're almost 1 foot out the grave. And the fact of the matter, I'm in an environment where that you having young men and women that are now able to go on trips and afford to do that because the patrons in there were able to support them financially through the services that they offered, right? So when you're in a space like that, I started developing a sense of kingship. So as in this was a kingdom that I had. Now I was the king. So everything, if you know anything about kingdoms, you know that everything everything that happens inside the kingdom belongs to the king. Okay, belongs to the royal family, right? So then, once that having that, you now appointing your people. Now, this is how it works in any kingdoms. This was just my kingdom at the time. All right. So, how many know that kingdoms rise and falls, right? So, when you look at that in relation to God's kingdom, you know that king, he was the king of all kings, right? And according to the story, there was dominion or appointment on that. So, the fact that I was a king of my kingdom and my appointment was now dominion over my space. I wanted to manage it or govern it properly in the relation that there was growth and prosperity on it. But see, the thing that was coming in Calder, and this is one of the lessons that I had to learn that got my coattail pulled, and I want to make sure I share this clearly and understandably. Power corrupts absolutely. Okay, what I mean by that is once I started acquiring power, my ego started getting in the way. Once I started acquiring authority, my character started to get a little bit over jealous or grandiose, to say the least, because now I got money, I got women, I got employees, I got subordinates, if you will. I had people that cater to my needs in relation to what I wanted, and because I have not only the authority, the power, and the influence, I want y'all to take that down. Authority, power, and influence, which is the principles of anything that will actually create change. I was able to now maneuver in spaces that normally I wouldn't be able to get into had I not had that, right? So because of that, it started going to my head, and there was a lesson that I had to learn, but the only way I could learn was by losing it. So I started getting so far that I was gaining the whole world, because as a man, and I want to keep this 100. I want to make sure that everybody gets what I'm saying and picking up what I'm really putting down. As a man, you don't have to acquire much to feel like you're valuable, to feel validated. And for a man like me who was sheltered, who was insecure, who was highly put down as a young man, and mind you, I'm the oldest of all of my siblings, and I was the first male born. Yet the animosity that was created had me believing that I wasn't qualified to be an authority. I wasn't qualified to be great, but yet, and everybody on the outside that I felt was close to me put out the word that I was something that I was not doing, meaning I was out here doing illegal acts. I was out here putting women out here to do well things, which was the furthest thing from the truth. It wasn't until my youngest brother came out and seen it with his own eyes what actually was happening, where I was literally the boss. I was literally handling the business. I was literally running, making calls, making sure everybody was safe. I was cutting the checks for my staff to be properly compensated for the work they were doing. So all of this naysay that people was putting on me just because they had a prejudice against of what I was doing and how I was making a living. They did not know what was actually being served on, and they did not know the actual people that I was actually called to work with and who I was to serve. Why? Because I'm going to help you understand that people will put their prejudice on you to disrupt what you have called on you and put on you, because not everybody know what you are called to do. Sometimes you are the one that is meant to be down and dirty in the trenches with the people, to actually walk what like they walk, talk like they talk, not to sit here and judge them, but to understand them, to understand that you are just as you are them and they are you. You are human just like them. You bleed just like they bleed. You cut like they cut. So you could talk how they talk, so you can understand how they stand, so you can live how they live. Why? So that you can understand that this ain't always where it's at. It's just you knew that it was better. Why? Because you was appointed to that authority. You was given that kingdomships. You was given that power. You were given that influence, and you was given that authority, not just to subjugate people, but to elevate them once they understand they was in the proper presence of greatness. They was in the presence of something or someone that was given the proper knowledge to reach them and teach them not where you're at, but where they're at, and showing them the way that they can elevate up. And see, and that was the thing that was being brought to me as I was, even though I was getting caught up in my home space for one moment, the Lord gave me a vision. Like, listen, this is not where I want you to be, but this is where I need you to learn. Why? Because I had no understanding of what it was like to struggle, or know what it's like for people to go through hardship. Why? Because I was a spoiled kid in the sense of I had all my parents. See, I didn't look at the things of the after a while, I started learning and understanding that it wasn't that we had a lot of money. No, we didn't. I had to sew and make my own clothes because I was getting hand-me-downs from my neighbor who was 6 foot tall and I'm 5'9". Okay. I had to go ahead. If I wanted something name brand, I had to find ways to create something that looked just like it is. So because y'all was wearing Gucci, I had to wear my version of Gucci with the color scheme, but not the name. But that be because I had the ingenuity and the creativity. I just fronted off like this is my own thing. That was my ego talking, but yet those skills was put on me. But because of that thing, it humbled me to know that I don't have to conform to the world to be to walk amongst it. It's taught me that I can now learn how to work with people and not be over them as if I'm their overseer or their boss, but be with them so that we can now build something that's strong and great together. See, so when they say what profits a man to gain the whole world, it's not to gain the whole world and lose his soul. It's to understand the whole world so that he can protect his soul, so that he doesn't get so caught up in the world that he don't know who the hell he's looking at. And there was a point in my life that I'm sharing right now that I didn't know who I was looking at because I was so caught up being Don P the gentleman that I didn't know who the hell D'Angelo Glover was. I didn't know who the hell Donald Paratus was. See, these were all two separate entities that had to learn how to become one, because we have two sides to ourselves. It's like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce and Beyonce knows. See, everybody has two sides of themselves. They got their light side and they got their dark side. And sometimes they sit here and trying to play the roles like you're too good, or you're too light, or you're too dark, and you're not, and you can't come to the light. But see, the way the Bible lays it down, the way the Muslim Islamic language lays it out, in Kemetic lays it out, in science it lays it out. For there is a cause, there is effect. If there is light, there is dark. This is the Bible. If there is yin, there is yang. And there is a good, there is a bad. If there is a positive, there's a negative, which means that there is no such thing as one absolute. It's only what do you choose to go with at the time. But the lesson and the understanding is that knowing the difference of when you're operating in light and to protect yourself from the dark, and when you got to go dark and bring the light. You feel what I'm saying? And see, at that time, I was dark and I was called to bring the light to a handful of people, not all people, but a handful of people. Now, I'm not saying that I was a savior. I was saying that I was given a proper information. I was given a proper authority. I was given a proper influence to bring that light to a place where that it was considered darkness, only because I had to understand what it was like to be in that space and understand people in a different light. Because in my mind, everything was always positive. Everything, as the show would say, and this is for my Lego fans because I am an anime and I love animation. Everything is awesome. I know y'all heard the song. Everything is awesome. Don't come for me. Y'all know I'm silly as fuck, but whatever. But because of that, that was my mindset. Everything was always awesome, but that doesn't translate to a woman that's literally has been getting beat on by the man she loves, and she don't know that this is not right until it's wrong, or she's laid up in a hospital bed and she's on fighting for her life. That doesn't make it awesome. That means I have to learn and understand, hey, listen, this man is not supposed to do this. And let me show you what it looks like to be around a real man that loves you for who you are and who you are, not a man that was insecure and wanted to treat you and beat you down to the physically as well as mentally. And just like women who verbally abuse their man to try to break his spirit when he just want to love you, and know that that is not right. That is not holy. That's not righteous. That's not even reasonable. And you know that once you start seeing the spirit that of what profits a whole man, not to gain the whole world, but to understand the world and know not to protect his soul, he starts to now look at the soul and the spirit of who you are and whose you are and what you represent. Are you representing? Are you coming to me in light and in positive and progress, or are you coming to me in dark and damnation, in destruction, and the discernment to see the two? Because why? If you're walking in that space, you can see the body language, you can see the spirit, as Jesus and Yeshua, as you call him, as we call him, will call out that demon not by circumstance but by name. So when you see that demon on somebody and you know that they ain't right, then it's not going to be what profits a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul. Is what profits a man to protect his soul by knowing the world and knowing how to call that demon out by name. And what I'm saying to you and what I want to share with you is that once I was able to identify my demons and call them out by name, it was allowing me to now protect my soul while I walk in the world and not be fearful of the world, not be fearful of what world of work environment I'm walking in and what space I'm walking in. Because it doesn't matter if I'm in the streets, in a titty bar, or in corporate, or walking on the sidelines, just in it as every day. I ain't fearing nothing. Because what they say in the word, it says that those who I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. So I know that without a doubt, without a shadow, that I don't walk by fear, by faith, but I walk and stand on a belief that I'm called to do something. And just like you're called to do something, that you can now profit from the world properly and ethically and morally. Why? Because when you're understanding where the world is hurting, you now can let your soul do the talking, let your spirit do the talking, and put it in a place where that now you're no longer worried about what you have to offer. Instead, you just going to offer the best version of yourself, the version that's authentic, that's realistic, that can resonate with the next person. And in exchange, you're going to give them that value, and they're going to say how much, and you're going to say something that gives it a cost, and that cost might just be your time. It may just be the monetary. It may just be a good word. Whatever that value and that cost is going to be is universal. It is a principle that is downloaded by God to let it know that, hey, look, there is no cost without a value, and there's no value without a cost. Okay. And what I'm saying is that once you know how to not be of the world, but understand that the world is around you and protecting your spirit is paramount. And know that once you understand how the world works in relation to your spirit, you can now work in a true through an authentic version of yourself. So all I'm saying is that when you that what will profit the world by gaining the whole world is to protect your soul and let your soul do the talking, but who you are and who you are, and never let nobody take away from that, because you are valuable. You are built like that. You meant the better. And I hope you understand that you can define your purpose and wear it with pride, which is the a moniker of the exoticpreneur, and making sure that at that point and forevermore, from the words that you catch this play to the next moment of your next second, is that you can be bold, you can be authority, you can be in power, and you can influence the next man, the next woman, the next child, and your next point of greatness. I hope this helps you some on your next journey and path to greatness. And with that being said, hey, make sure, as always, I gotta follow the algorithm of understanding. Make sure that if you want to learn more and catch more, go ahead and check me out at my name, DonaldParedes.com. Go ahead and book some sessions with me. Catch out the books, The 6 Daily Habits. You see that right behind, and the Exoticpreneur's Path to Greatness. At the end of the day, make sure you go ahead and follow me on Instagram. And at the end of the day, I need y'all to all stay wealthy. Let's be healthy. Don P out.